In 240 days, I went from looking like this to now looking like this, and I made it happen completely naturally. I'm going to be teaching you exactly what is going to work and what's going to be a complete waste of time. Because I went through that hardship. I spent those years studying and researching to make those 240 days as effective as possible so you can replicate the same thing. Where am I now? Well, I went from looking like that to now being a signed model. I went to university to study physics at a top 4 institution in the world for craniofacial sciences. So I can articulate to you exactly what is going to work and why it's going to work most crucially. So let's get right into it. Now, the first and foremost, most important thing for you to understand is going to be that your appearance is not an isolated metric. And you can see this with so many models all around you. If you have seen an image of how models, male or female, old or young, how their habits are, how they go about doing daily habits that you and I typically wouldn't have thought about previously, then that is going to completely change the game for you and how you go about doing these things. For example, how are you chewing your food? Really think about it. The way that you chew your food has 2 consequences on your appearance, doesn't it? The first one is that when you chew food incorrectly and you're not allowing the digestive process to begin in the mouth effectively, you're not going to be able to extract as many nutrients from the food, are you? And if you're not able to extract as many nutrients from the food, what consequence does that have on the rest of your body? Think about it. It's going to signal to your body that we don't have enough nutrients. Your body's absorbed a whole load of calories without getting any nutrients from it that are useful for your appearance. So it's a lose-lose situation. However, when you begin the digestive process by properly chewing inside of the dental arch, not allowing food to exit the dental arch, and making sure that there's enough digestive enzymes actually released to digest the food in the mouth, guess what? That is going to signal to your body that you have enough nutrients to actually improve your health, improve your well-being most importantly, and then as a consequence transform your appearance. And this was the very first thing that I made sure I had dialed in. But it's not just about nutrients, is it? When you chew properly, you're also going to notice that force is going to be traveling up your jaw and down the chin much more effectively. And if you look at very famous male and female models, what are you going to notice? You're going to notice that their jaw structure is going to be so much more defined than the average person. And it simply comes down to this one metric to begin with. Are you chewing properly? Are you chewing enough times? And are you using only your tongue and the jaw muscles to chew? Because as soon as you begin using the cheek muscles to chew food, guess what? You've completely lost it. And that's going to make your face look way too bloated, and it's going to make you less able to chew food properly. So that's going to be the first and foremost step that you need to dial in with. Now let's discuss the second part. The second thing that I need you to ensure that you have ingrained within you. That is going to be understanding which facial bones you need to target for remodeling. Remember that your appearance is virtually completely determined by your bone structure. Most people are too afraid to say it for how it is. The reason why a model looks good is because of their bone structure. Not because they've done skincare, not because they have nice hair, but because their bone structure is that exceptional. And what I spent 4 years of my life actually researching, studying, then spent 240 days intensively actually transforming, and then made it into a system that you can apply inside of the Levy system. And you can see that all of my clients have transformed through this system. What I learned is that the bone structure truly is what changes lives. It's going to change your health. It's going to change your well-being, and it's going to change how people perceive you, how people are going to react to you, and your first impression. So, knowing that bone structure is so important is great. Most people intuitively already understand that, but how are we going to improve it? Well, we're not going to be able to grow bone. Growing bone is impossible, but what we can do is remodel bone, actually restructure how our bones sit on our face by a few millimeters, but these few millimeters are what is going to completely change the trajectory of your life. How are we going to do that? Well, it comes down to force. If you look at the arms of tennis players, and you can see the difference between the bone density of the dominant arm compared to the bone density of the weaker arm, that is going to open up your eyes into understanding that your appearance also isn't just genetics, that your bone structure isn't just genetics, but it can remodel. And that is the very thing that I'm going to be teaching you right here. What you're going to be remodeling is the most valuable bone for your appearance, the maxilla. Now, the maxilla is going to sit in the middle of your face, and as a consequence has the most valuable let me think of a word. It plays the most valuable role in determining your appearance, because most of the eye traffic when someone's looking at your face is going to go towards the middle. If we are to weight it, guess what? The bone which sits under it has that level of importance. So to remodel it, we need to understand in which direction we want to remodel it. And the direction is going to be forwards. If you think about the difference between a conventionally unattractive or conventionally average face and compare it with a conventionally attractive face, a modelesque face, the modelesque face is going to be looking like it has better development towards the midface, allowing the jaw, allowing the upper jaw, and allowing the entire face to have more depth. That's exactly the goal that we're going for. Now, how do we do it? Well, similar to how a tennis player is going to be using their arm to play tennis and to actually then remodel the arm's bone, we're doing the same thing, but with the tongue. Your tongue, as you would have already heard, is what has huge priority when we think about mewing. But mewing is not what we're doing here. If mewing worked, trust me, you would not be here right now. If mewing worked as well as people say it does, many more people would have reached model status by now, but they simply haven't. However, if you look at all of the clients inside of the Levy system, and most importantly, if you look at my one-to-one clients inside of the Levy system, you are going to see that something has happened here where they went from average to looking modelesque, because something worked when mewing didn't work. Mewing stops working at the age of 12. And what I'm going to teach you is going to work regardless. We need to deliver force with the tongue. A small amount of force to begin with, but force nonetheless. And this force needs to be applied at very specific points. The first point is going to be using just behind the tip of your tongue, not the tip of the tongue, but behind it, and then pressurizing at the hollowest point on the roof of the mouth. And you can test this by curling your finger, putting it inside of your mouth, and then pulling. Wherever the tip of your finger stabilizes is going to be the point. You need to pressurize ever so slightly to begin with just behind the tip of your tongue. And you're going to then visualize this force traveling through the tip of your nose. And that's going to allow the upper jaw, the anterior maxilla, to structurally remodel. And this is going to be an absolute game changer for you to actually dial in with. And you can see this time and time and time again with all of these clients, that their lives have fundamentally changed through what I teach. And you can see with my own transformation that this is something that has been tried and tested. And this is going to be called AERO, the Applied Epigenetic Remodeling of the Orofacial Complex. And I'm going to teach you how you can make this even stronger in just a second. First, I'm going to tell you the importance of strengthening the tongue. If your tongue is not strong enough, you're not going to be able to pressurize enough. So, to strengthen the tongue, what are you going to do? You are going to combine chewing food properly with the tongue while focusing on the tongue. So when you chew food, don't use the cheek muscles, but instead have the food in the middle of your mouth. And for a couple of repetitions with the tongue, push the food on the roof of your mouth. Push it. When you're doing that, you're strengthening your tongue, allowing aero to be more effective, and then as a consequence, allowing the food to be digested better, the tongue to be stronger, and for force to travel up the facial bones, allowing it to remodel. Now, if you want to actually transform through the same systems that I developed, then join the Levy system. The link is in the description. And if you want to invest into working with me directly and work with me one-to-one, then the next steps are also going to be inside of the Levy system. I will see you there.